Good to go.
Good to go? Back for session 2, extended cut. Here with Carl Matai. Been great to have you today. We're going to dive straight in on a lot of the questions we've had today. We've had questions this morning, questions tonight, and we've pulled together some that we're going to address. So, first question to get us rolling. Why is God hard to find sometimes?
Yeah, and you could rephrase it and say, why is God impossible to find? In a sense, if God hadn't gone out of his way to reveal himself to us, we would have had no hope of finding God. So God, on our own, we have no chance of finding God whatsoever. God has made himself, God has introduced himself. God has turned up and shown himself to us in the most amazing, historical, clear way of the very man, Jesus Christ. So I thought a verse that might help us here is John 1:18 that says, "No one has ever seen God, but the one and only Son, who is himself God and is in closest relationship with the Father, has made him known." So it all goes back to Jesus. God has gone out of his way to reveal himself so that we can find him, know him, but he's done all the hard work. Without him doing all the hard work, we had no hope. He was impossible to find.
So it's like you're double underlining the word hard in the question and kind of maxing it up.
Yeah.
Impossible.
Yep. Now, if it's still, now that he's revealed himself very clearly in the person of Jesus, if some people are still finding it very hard to find God, that might be because they're not looking in the right place.
There's a few questions on that we'll come to. Carl, you mentioned that humans have purposely distanced themselves from God. But what happens to people who are never told about Christianity before they die? This is very related, isn't it?
Yeah. And, you kind of want to say, oh, look, they'll be all right and it'll be okay. But no, the Bible doesn't tell us that. If the Bible says the only way for anyone to be saved is through the sacrifice of Jesus, then this question really matters and it's really important. Jesus himself said, "I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me." It's a very exclusive statement. No one is reconciled to God except through Jesus. So we need to be careful with these ideas of, well, all religions have truth and they all different paths up the same mountain, they all get there in the end. No, they don't. And even that kind of idea fails to really understand each religion anyway. Let's just take two. Let's take Islam and Christianity. Let's take one issue, the issue of the cross. Islam says Jesus didn't die on the cross. Christianity says Jesus did die on the cross. They can't both be right. Either one could be wrong, but they cannot both be right. So to say, oh, you guys all believe the same thing, you'll all get there in the end. Well, hang on. You really aren't dealing in an intellectually honest way with either religion. They both can't be right, but you need to do enough of your homework to work out which one is true, which one is right. And that's why I keep pointing you back to the historicity of the Lord Jesus. It didn't happen in a corner somewhere. It happened in the middle of our world, in a period of our history that you can go and look at the facts and verify. You really do need to work out what the truth is here, because there's a lot of answers out there, but they're not all correct.
There was another question, don't other faiths offer an answer?
Yeah, they do offer an answer. Whether it's a right answer or not, well, you'd want to check that out, wouldn't you? Because you do not want to put your faith in something that is not true. If Christianity is not true, if you work out Christianity is not true, please don't put your faith in Jesus. Only trust Jesus if you work out that he is the truth about life and access to God. We don't want to believe this just because it's a nice thing to believe but untrue. If Christianity is not true, the Apostle Paul says, if Jesus didn't rise from the dead, we are fools. We are just wasting our time, and we are to be pitied. You can have a look at that in 1 Corinthians 15 if you'd like. Christianity rests on the historicity and truth of what Jesus has done. And you can check that out. And I think that's why the Share Life course is so good. It gives you time to actually get in there and check out the facts for yourself. If in a sense, this kind of thing is so important that you owe it to yourself to to give it a bit of your time. And so I would say, go to the Share Life course, ask the hard questions. He can cope with it, and the Bible can cope with it. We're not going to shy away from hard questions. If it's not true, we'll abandon it too. We're convinced it's true, and you can check out the truth of it for yourself.
Yeah, so just on the Share Life course, you can find out links to that on our website. So if you'd like to look at that, we'll have 4 sessions at the Share Life course where it is very interactive, and you can really delve into some of these questions. So let's move into the next question here. I'm picking up verse 20 from the passage that you spoke on today. This is Colossians chapter 1, verse 20. And it says there that there's that God was pleased through Jesus to reconcile to himself all things. And it mentions there the things that are reconciled, whether things on earth or things in heaven. So the question is, what needs reconciling in heaven?
Yeah, it's a good question. In a sense, what we're doing, if you want to kind of deal with the whole of creation, that's what it's saying. Whether it's on earth or in heaven, we're talking about everything that exists anywhere. There's nothing sort of outside in the Bible's worldview. Nothing's outside those two places. You've got earth, you've got heaven. That encompasses everything. And so really what it's saying is that Jesus is bringing reconciliation to everything. Now, it's pretty huge, isn't it? So when we think reconciliation through Jesus, we think, Jesus is reconciling people like me to God, making a good relationship again. But it's actually even bigger than that. What Jesus is doing is righting the whole of creation by reconciling everything back to God. In a sense, Jesus is being installed as the rightful Lord of all creation by his death, by his resurrection and ascension to the throne in heaven. Everything is being put right because you've got the world with the right Lord ruling over it. And that is reconciled. Heaven, earth, everything is put right under the right lordship of Jesus.
Thank you. So can you extend on why a loving father would allow the sacrifice of his son? Yeah.
It feels on Father's Day, it feels so brutal, doesn't it? And what we need to understand is it's not a kind of impersonal son over there, just go and, cop it in the neck, son, and I'll be over here swanning around on the couch. God is Father, Son, and Spirit. So we talked a little bit about it tonight. The Son is the visible representation of the invisible God. Our passage went there. Father, Son, Spirit are not 3 gods. It's one God in 3 persons. So in the body of Jesus, God himself is absorbing the judgment, his own judgment upon human sin. He's absorbing it in himself. He's not some capricious father pouring it out just on. He is taking it upon himself, Father, Son, and Spirit. I think that's really important to keep holding that together. God in himself is absorbing his own judgment at sin. And it is incredible that he would take that step. And it shows you how much he loves you and how serious sin is.
We only culled it down to 7 questions, and we've gone pretty fast, so I'm going to add an extra one in. Okay?
Excellent.
So let's get really practical day-to-day living. When we're forgiven and reconciled, what does peace with God look like day to day?
Yeah. Beautiful. We dealt with this one very briefly in church tonight, and I said there's 1,000 things. Let me give you a couple of them. The first one is peace with God actually gives you great security. I noticed this a few years ago when I had a life-threatening incident that put me in hospital, and it was fascinating because as I'm lying there having just had a pretty life-threatening situation happen to me, I realised that I wasn't that concerned. I actually said, you know what, God, my life's always been in your hands. I trust you. If you think this is the time for me to take me home, well, I'll trust you on that. If you think you'd like me to live, I'll trust you on that. There was incredible security in this horrendous time to be able to just rest in knowing that I'm safe with God. I'm safe in his safe hands. And so there's the first thing. Reconciliation means great security through the ups and downs of life. But it's not just security in my relationship with God. It means that I'm secure in being able to relate to other people as well. So if I'm reconciled to God and I've learned forgiveness from God, I can start to show that forgiveness to others who wrong me. I've actually been really thinking hard about forgiveness in the last year and really working at not just kind of saying I forgive you, but really working at actually forgiving someone and letting that sin that they've done against me go, and choosing not to take out my anger on them and actually really work hard at changing my attitude. I'm trying to learn forgiveness from God because he does it very well. So again, that's another factor that we could just keep going all night and talk about all these things that flow out of the security of being reconciled to God.
And we will go there next week too. Won't
Next
we?
week's talk, we'll deal with that quite a lot.
More things that flow out next week.
Yeah.
But just to loop all this together, and I'm going to go back into something that you mentioned before, just about the truth. You kept saying that the truth is what matters. The truth about Jesus. It's okay to look at all the different religions, but what matters is what's true. It's a really challenging comment in this age or at this time when people tend to hear with their eyes and think with their feelings. When we talk about truth, just reflecting on truth versus beauty. A lot of people come to discover the truth by first seeing what is beautiful, and then through beauty come to see truth. A lot of people doubt the truth of any story, like the Christian story. So let's just put two things together there then. How is the truth of Jesus beautiful?
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? Because I'm tempted to go, have a look at the Christians that you know, and hopefully you'll see Jesus' influence on their life, it being beautiful. But you know what? They're still sinners. They're still going to let you down. Do you know who won't let you down? Jesus. What Jesus is beautiful, and you can read about the way he cared for women, the way he cared for outcasts, the way he cared for racial enemies of his people, the way, like, you look at Jesus and you think, there is a beautiful example of someone I'd like to follow. And so if you want to enter into truth through beauty, Jesus has all the beauty that you could possibly want, and you will see that there is truth behind the beauty. I think that's a great way of entering into it. Just look at the person of Jesus. Look at how he treats people. Look at how he responds even to people that other people in that day put down and treated terribly. Look at the love that Jesus shows them, and it's beautiful.
Thanks for sticking with us to the end of question time. We will be back next week, and for those of you who have started this look into Jesus and want to see the beauty of Jesus, then we welcome you back. Please keep looking at him with us. You could look at the trees, you could look at the stars, you could look at the prophets and the different places and different faiths all around the world. But in the end, what we're contending here is Jesus is beautiful and true. So please come back and join us. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks. Great, mate. Thank you. Good stuff. Excellent.